Y'all, we should have known. We should have known that this man trying to be, oh my God. What is happening? If he has friends in low places, he probably sucks too. I am beside my, y'all, I'm from Nashville, okay? I went through, I went through a very short country music phase. The little rebel in me was like, country music, because I was saturated in it. And it was when seventh grade. For 1 year, I loved Garth Brooks. I went to a Garth Brooks concert. I loved country music for like 1 year, and then I was like, nah, I'm too angry for this crap. And I don't like the way they talk about women. And then I saw there's lots of problems with it. Anyway, so I haven't kept up with this man. You know, no reason to, really. And wow, I wish I had, because what in the world? You know, this like Chris, oh God, what's his name? Garth Brooks' little like a fake man that he created, his alter ego. Do you know? Guess what he was? A schmegs addict. Shocker! Shocker! But what am I talking about? Well, he's been accused. Little cowboy prince baby, who cheated on his wife. He admitted to that, with his current wife. Cheated on his ex-wife, his current wife. I don't know. None of this really surprises me. A famous man, cheater, lots of money, number one, blah, blah, blah in the world. I don't know. It's very few men can handle that kind of thing for their little egos. You know, this is not a deep dive, really, because I'm going to need some time. And, you know, not a whole lot is out there about what's really happening, other than the lawsuit. Her former makeup artist, who became his makeup artist, the stuff he did to this woman, allegedly. But you know what? It's almost as if these two knew this was coming. I mean, he tried to sue his accuser, and of course he's being like, oh my God, this is extortion. It's almost as if he knew this was coming, because what did he do? What would any publicist tell him to do? Habitat for Humanity! What better thing to do that 3 days before this comes out? Look, he couldn't possibly grape somebody. He helps build houses. Like, this whole... And you know what? I swear to God, like I've said, the best case scenario, most of these men are going to humiliate you. If they don't, ruin your life, derail your career, take all your money, baby trap you, abuse you, or literally take your life outright through abuse, or slowly through your nervous system with all their stress. They are going to take this. I mean, I used to know a lot about Trisha Yearwood. How could I not, living in Nashville? I know all these people's names. Well, I don't even know what happened to him. What happened? Andrew, no, that's the former president. What is that blonde guy with the mullet? Jackson something, whatever. I don't care. Anyway, I used to kind of know when I went through my very minor country music phase, before I became too embarrassed to like some of these people. Some country music I respect. A lot of it is trash. Anyway, this is kind of like country music's little sweetheart or some crap. What a perfect person for him to be matched up with. And now you look terrible, Trisha. Like, oh God, the way men humiliate women. I mean, Dave Grohl, you know, like, I swear to God, if you like, one of the briskiest things you can do is marry a man, and not just because of all the other things, but literally, it's so rare they won't humiliate you with an affair or just something. Or, you know, put you in a dangerous situation, like not evacuate a disaster or take you on a hike in the middle of the day on a 120-degree day. You know, this man is so unbothered that he went on and performed anyway, the day of this accusation. And you know what? He needed this. Same way any good rapist needs schmegs and has a schmegs addiction. But remember, this guy, Chris or whatever, I'm going to get to him in a little bit. He had a schmegs addiction. I swear, sometimes these men literally just tell us everything about them so obviously. And we all are like, ha, that's a funny joke, or ha, what a crazy little character he created. Literally the same day that all these accusations come out, he goes on Twitter to share this amazing show he just performed. If there's ever a night that I really needed this, tonight! The day I was accused of the most heinous crimes against a woman was that night. Thank you for my life. I mean, in addition to raping this woman, harassing her, oh my God, hold on. He also, I mean, again, it was like, if he's doing all this behind your back, that's horrifying. But like, according to his accuser, he was doing that. You know what? You know who he sounds a lot like? Dominique in France. That man who did that was like, my wife is just so vanilla. She's just, doesn't really want to deal with this stuff. Maybe I'll go do it to another woman, or I'll try to get some, like, oh my God. And he's like old now. That's what I'm telling you. If you, like my most recent lesson or my most recent warning from my own life experiences and things that we keep seeing in the news is old men are dangerous. Do not think because they're old, they are not going to still ruin your life or be very violent or, whatever, take your life. And guess what? If they don't have a female family member, a wife or daughters, sisters, or somebody, mommy still alive and they're old nearby them, guess who they're gonna count on? The neighbor, church. They're always going to target women to take care of them when all their children have cut them off and their wife has left them. The lonelier an old man is, the more dangerous. Stay away from them. This man had everybody. He had his perfect, like, poster. What I know she's like older now too, but I still as a teenager think of her as like 20 something, right? But like she was just like this, like propped up as this, like, he's in love. Was that her? He's in love with the boy. I don't know, whatever. Just kind of, I think I get her mixed up with some other people. Anyway, everybody just loved this of these two stuff. Affair. Okay, everyone loves an affair story if we just don't talk about the affair. Like he did all this stuff. Read if you want. Trigger warning. Oh, right. His wife. This shows you how, like, my child brain is still operating way too often. I was like, she's 60. Oh, God. Wow. Okay. But she still looks really good. But apparently she overheard some of this. Oh, God. I am so curious how she's going to handle this. Would be willing to bet that she's going to be like, deny it, like, and all that stuff, because women usually humiliated by men, especially very powerful, very famous. And you know what? It's not even like, honestly, I think in a situation like this, knowing his fan base, who is, men, but a lot of women, what women are going to do to her if she leaves or like comes out against her, like, you just ask any woman online who ever calls out a male creator who panders to women, like Robbie Harvey or a lot of the male creators on TikTok who make feminist content but are not really talking to men. They're talking to women. They are pandering to you. And anytime you ever do anything, the army of women that love this man are coming for you. So actually, she probably will not leave him. She won't. If you have not personally gone up against an army of women very over here on the pick-me spectrum, because we all have it in us. I mean, you can't not to survive patriarchy. But if you're way over here, those women are terrifying. So I would hate to be Trisha Yearwood right now, especially because her career is tied to this man. They've been performing together. Oh, God. Anyway, you know what? This is a perfect story. She is like, she gets screwed because she's a stepmom. She also is an affair partner, so she brought this on herself. I mean, whatever. I also know that, like, I always blame the man a little bit more in these things because a lot of times they are lying, but she knew he was married and all that stuff. But men will be like, oh my God, we're broken up. Oh my God, we have an open relationship. Oh la la la. But still, she does. She's accountable too. But God, okay. Let's get into it. And by the way, I hope it doesn't sound like I am making light of this at all. This is a horrifying story. Trigger warning if you read the article. I'm going to go over some of it, but you know what? With Diddy, This case in France, which I'm very connected to. It's in the news all the time. It's such a big part of the like I can't escape this story right now, so I'm kind of covering it a lot. I don't even know where to start with Diddy, to be honest. I don't even know where to start. And then there's, Garth. There's just so many stories. The news is so big. And then, climate change and genocide and like so many, it's just like, it's nonstop. And then Love is Blind just came out. I totally missed that. So I can't keep up with the news right now. So anyway, my point is, I'm going to try to make this somewhat like, I'm going to try to make it not as hard by talking about the more ridiculous parts like this. This guy, Garth Brooks, like what? Like, we should have known there was something up with this man. Maybe people did, but I was literally, like I said, I just like forgot he existed. Every once in a while, I'd see something about, oh wow, shocking, a country music white man star is actually like not doing something crazy racist today. He supports some progressive issues. Like, I was like, oh, okay, bravo, I guess, but I never really trust the nice guys either. Like, I don't know. God, Garth. I remember so little of my childhood. And, as much as I was a little embarrassed by my country music phase, I had good memories. That was me and my BFF Jackie, the person who showed me that female friendships are so much more rewarding in general than dating men. Her and I went to this concert together. She was my BFF, and then she moved away because her dad got transferred, and it was devastating. And then we shared this, and now you're a predator. Yeah, I did not know about this. I don't know. I don't know if I can go down this rabbit hole because I feel like it's like deep. Yes, Chris Gaines. Chris Gaines is his like alter ego. But this is the Garth that I know, that I grew up with, who was like a pop star but country music kind of. And just, never, I was like, oh, the thunder rolls. Thunder rolls in the morning, not a soul in sight. Like, I didn't even realize, when I looked up the lyrics, I was like, oh my God, I know all the lyrics of like all his songs still. They're way back in my little brain. He got so much crap and also so much praise for talking about domestic violence. Great. Now we know where that's coming from. He was also on a baseball team at some point in time. Like, what is this man doing? He was trying to make some movie about a lamb or something. I don't even know. I'm afraid to go in this rabbit hole. I am just giving you a summary of what? I just remember him as this big old black hat wearing man with the little microphone thing and a big old guitar and like just a lot of energy. Yeah, I don't know. And despite being a cheater, he rebranded, Well, I mean, two country stars, he was just so young when he married Sandy. God, he used to talk about Sandy all the time. And then he cheated. But then he rebranded and got to be this. And now he's done this. I mean, God, this happened in like 2019. I'm so curious if other accusers are going to come out because it's usually not just one. Like, even stuff when I was looking into his Wikipedia, I was like, Crooked Chase. I'm just, if you grew up in Nashville, I know Nashville's very different now than when I was being raised there. It's just, now it's all about bridal bachelorette parties and, I mean, whatever. Now it's just, and it's crazy how big it is and whatever. If there wasn't like California or Los Angeles and New York kind of restaurants there, it wasn't cool. When I was there, it was all about country music. Like, that's literally all it was about. There was nothing, like, there was some artists that, like, I saw Tool when I was a teenager and like at the tiniest venue ever. Like, there was some cool stuff, but Nashville was like not a big city at all, and definitely it was just like country music. Right? So for me to not like country music was like not weird for a teenager. Anytime I tell anyone I'm from Nashville, they're like, oh, and I'm like, I hate country music, don't talk to me about it. His ex-wife, who he cheated on, was the songwriter. She wrote some of his best songs. And he met Trisha Yearwood way before they got divorced. Like, they have a history. And then she was touring with him. I mean, maybe nothing happened. Maybe they were just friends. But maybe not. He cheated. I'm not sure if he admitted it was her, but I mean, that would be silly. Then again, when you read the quotes, well, she was married to someone else and he was married. But when he said that when he first met her, he had that feeling that you just met your wife. Who says that when they're still married? Anyway, maybe they didn't cheat because she was married. Maybe she's like, no. But it didn't take long after that he got divorced. Also, he proposed on stage. Like, red flag, unless that's what she wanted. Like, bro, can you not do anything in private? I hate it. Like, public proposals in general, not always, unless the woman wants it and he knows she wants that, are all about men's egos and pressuring women to say yes. like they probably, I'm guessing she was going to say yes, but what if she didn't want to get married? Can she really say no? No. They made so this I find very interesting. That the pair made a commitment to not spend time apart. It is estimated by Yearwood that the couple spends about 5 days away from each other per year. That's insane, given that they're both mega country stars. I mean, I guess they still are. I mean, he's doing a residency in Vegas, like Adele. You know what I mean? We really have made a conscious effort since getting married to not be apart, so we've toured together. If I'm doing something, he'll be with me. Even if you don't see him, he'll be in the hotel or around. Well, now that we know what he was doing in this hotel room, like, that's what's crazy. I'm going to read the allegations in a minute. You know what? You can, if you have a cheating man, a lying man, a predatory man like this, you can be with him all the time and he will still find a way to cheat on you. Like, I'm not saying that they made it, that this was her idea. They'd be together all the time so she can watch them, but I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, this all sounded all nice and good when they were like a happy couple, but now that we know what he was doing, like literally bringing the makeup artist with him, like the man was, oh my God. I'm so tired. Are y'all tired? I'm tired. I'm tired of reading this. Who else is going to come down in 2020? We only have a few months left in this year, and they are just... But you know what? She became a stepmother. Great. Because we know that stepmothers always win, right? They usually end up giving a lot of their money to this man's children. And if it's a contentious divorce, like if the mom does not get along with dad, ooh, guess who is the enemy of everybody? Stepmom. Seems like this was actually or according, either way, Cecilia Regina made a great video on this yesterday about like Lana Del Rey's whatever, and how the woman who was engaged for like 12 years made a statement, and that like the woman in that situation, because she's not famous and doesn't have a publicist, like she's not going to win. So they have to take the high road. And that's what Lana Del Rey's like, that woman, I mean, God, that I did some research on her. I'll hopefully remember to do that video, but oh God. Anyway, this seems similar. Like the woman was cheated on by Garth. She was this, sweetheart. They got married at like 21. She had 3 kids, raised 3 of his kids. He was gone all the time. She actually complained about that. And he's cheating. And when you have a powerful man like that, and then a powerful like country star that he is like, marrying, you have to pretend to be okay with it. You will never gonna win that fight. So the ex-wife Sandy was all like, no, it's great for the kids. Okay. Do you really believe that? I know you have to, or you have to pretend. And that's the thing. When you have children with these men, and this is what I said about that guy who did like Supersize Me. And when I made that video, someone who's friends with that dude's ex said, thank you for talking about this, because the mom can't say the truth. She can't smear that man's name because of her children. So Sandy probably has other thoughts, but she's the mother of his 3 children. 2 huge stars she's against. No way is she gonna be like, she has to be like, no, it's great, I'm glad there's another pennant. What's so funny is the way this man talks. He's like, look at these quotes. My favorite part about getting to be Miss Yearwood. Oh, what a great guy, what a progressive man. He's like, the same way, George Clooney is like, no, my wife. Like, seriously, we need to stop giving men compliments and being like, oh my God. Like, that's why whenever people like write comments about Anthony in my videos, I'm like, no, don't do that. Like, I appreciate the work he's doing to deconstruct patriarchy. And I'm very proud of what we're doing together, but do not be like, and this is how men get like, that's why some of these male creators who do feminist content, but they're really catering to women, they're not talking to men at all. And just like the guy from the Ashley Madison guy, that man was the worst. And guess what? He had all those millions of women following him on YouTube. And he was a terrible dad until he played a good dad in the YouTube video. And then he had women being like, oh my God, you're such a great dad. That is how you create monsters. It's just being like, oh my God, praising men for doing like, and calling themselves Ms. Yearwood or Miss Partner. I'm surprised he didn't say, I'm Mr. Yearwood. God. I'm not saying like that every man who does this is like a great, I'm just saying. We have got to stop treating men like they're little boys, you know, because they just need validation all the time. And like, oh yeah, because I swear to God, that is how like the bar stays low. But the way he talks about her, oh, what a great story. We have a love that's going to last beyond this lifetime. I found her in the last life. I'll find her in the next one. And I will grape her makeup artist and try to rope her into having a threesome with us. Like, this man hung the woman by her ankles. Cheated on her, the wife of his 3 children, and now humiliating her. She had to have known this story was coming out. But guess who has all these photos of Habitat for Humanity with her? The way the men will hide behind their wives while also humiliate them it will be studied. Once they stop getting away with it, it will be studied like, look how they used to do this. By the way, his ex played a pivotal role in his career. Something else I just learned yesterday, that they met when he was a bouncer at a bar. Apparently she got in a fight in the bathroom. It got her her fist. So I'm just, y'all, the story is so horrifying, but with this the accuser, that I'm trying to add some crazy little elements of this man's life because this is so interesting. It's got another argument with another one. Took us. He married a fighter. I love that. She's like, I've never been in a fight with a woman. But she, like Sandy, got her fist stuck in a wall, and the wall's wood paneling. Then within 3 years they were married. What? But and also, she's a bad bitch because their divorce settlement was one of the biggest in Hollywood history. Get your bag, Sandy, especially if he does all this to you. This was a crazy side note. She was abducted from her home in Oklahoma in 2006. A bail bondsman showed up on her property looking for a man who was staying in the barn. What? That man was accused of abducting her, but she ran into a convenience store and escaped. Okay, I know that's totally unrelated, but interesting tidbit. This is what Garth said when he met Trisha. Now, granted, this is the love of his life, that he found her once, he'll find her again in the afterlife. This is the love of his life that her former makeup artist he then raped and did horrifying things to. Like the way this man talks about her, don't be like, I've been married for, look at this. I had been married 13 months when I met her, Trisha Yearwood. When someone said, what do you think when you met her? I said, I felt like I just met my wife, which is weird, right? But the girl's mother and I were married in a church in front of our family, you know. Oops, what are you going to do? I'm stuck with this lady. I already told God and like all my family that I'm going to stay faithful to this mark. So the fact that he said this makes me not like him. The fact that he said this in an interview while married makes me already like, But you know what? Everything happens in God's timing, because if we got married then our careers wouldn't have taken off and blah, 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 because Sandy launched my career and she had her whatever. This is his like, well, it all worked out for the best. Okay, Garth. You know, we should have known back in 1992 at the ACM award. I swear to God, this is what men do at awards all the time. And I'm like, they're either going to get divorced or like he sucks and she's going to stay with him anyway. I'd like to give thanks to the one person who always seems to make a male vocalist. And what? And that is a female by the oddest things. What? Maybe I'm reading that wrong. I'd like to thank my wife, Sandy, for sticking with me. Y'all, this has been so normalized, and now we're starting to see this is bonkers. Any man who is like, I'm so grateful for my wife for putting up with my exploitive, selfish ass, that is not a compliment. You're literally telling the world that you treat her like crap and she doesn't respect herself enough to leave. Cool, bro. I would be so pissed if someone that I was married to, had children with, and that I loved and sacrificed a lot for, used their speech of a huge lifetime achievement like stuff to thank me for having low standards and very low self-value. And then she beamed from the audience. She was also pregnant at the time. And then when he talked about marriage, explains his feelings about marriage. Being married, it's got to be right. This is who, I don't even know if he has a southern accent. He's from Oklahoma. Anyway, this is who you went to college with, and you were married in front of God and your family and everybody. Here we go again. I had to do this. If I didn't have witnesses, I would have left this work a long time ago. But my stupid daddy upstairs, and my family may hold me accountable. I may have consequences if I just leave. And this man has daddy issues, which I'm going to go into in a minute. He blames his schmegs addiction on his dad not loving him. Join the club, bro. Join the club. You're not special. Still, at the end of the day, there comes that time when you're looking at the rest of your life and you're going, how do I want to live it? Definitely not with this man who sacrificed so much and gave me 3 children. So that's how he talks about marriage to his ex-wife. But when he's talking about Trisha, I never knew it could be like this. I never knew that every day I could feel like this. And even though I feel like this and don't hate the woman I'm married to, I'm still gonna grape her employee. Like, that is what makes me so mad about this, is like this man got so much credit for being with like this angel in the music scene. Okay, he had an affair, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Focus, Melanie, focus. The point is that, that it doesn't matter what these men have done if they can rebrand with a woman and children, but usually, especially a woman. I did a whole video on that swimmer. What's his butt? The dude who at the Rio Olympics had blue hair and then got in trouble and then did some crazy racist thing trying to blame it on the locals. And then got to rebrand, come back, dancing with the star, married, babies, boom. And now he's just a whole different man. They can get away with anything if they have a good woman to hide behind. And they can say all these things about how much they love their wife, and they're still hanging a woman by her ankles, graping her, and all kinds of other stuff. Like, God, they're so full of it. And also, you know what? This is other red flag. When he talks about Trisha Yearwood, it does not sound like something I would ever want. Brooks told Us Magazine that he was dependent on his wife. Wow, shocker. We never see that. The king babies who just can't do anything without a woman. I was telling someone the other day, I feel like so helpless because there's nothing I can't do without her. There's nothing I can't do with her, and there's nothing I can do without her. It's a blessing and a curse that you feel so free and independent when she's there, and you're so dependent when she's not there. I don't think she feels this way at all, but I know I do. Wow, you know what that is? That's patriarchal conditioning of being completely dependent on a woman and not actually returning that energy to her. You even said it. She doesn't need you, but you need her. Shocker. Oh, Mose is awake. I don't care how much a man says he loves his wife. If need is in it, I need her. That woman is his mother. And women who do everything for men, women who are then men are dependent on, they do not respect those women. It doesn't surprise me that he was like, if he had just cheated on her, that'd be one thing, but he literally like raped somebody while with the love of his life that he can't live without. Really? You can't live without? But then you did all this? Risking all that? God! So let's just go over a couple of the details before I then go into lighter topic around him. What exactly he did besides trying to get his accuser to do threesomes with him and harassing her and calling her a liar and basically trying to get, bully her with the courts from telling her story and coming out with it. So in multiple occasions in 2019, he was essaying her while she was working for him as hair and makeup. The first alleged thing took place while she was at his home on a styling appointment. Interesting, he did this in his home, the home he shares with his wife, the home that I'm sure his children come over to. He's got this woman coming to his home, and this is what he does. Stepped out of the shower, grabbed her hand, and forced them onto his, while stating that he fantasized about this moment and wanted her to perform on him. She declined, but she remained a staffer working for him because, anybody who's worked in any industry like this, film industry or whatever, you cannot ever tell people, like, these men will ruin your career if they have a whiff of you being a whistleblower or whatever. You will be labeled difficult and no one will hire you again. This 27-page complaint filed by her lawyer includes a second incident that happens when she agreed to travel with Brooks to Los Angeles for the Grammy tribute to Sam Moore. She claims Brooks trapped her in a hotel room, grabbed her hands, and pulled her onto a bed where he then, At one point, she claims, during the assault, he held her upside down by her feet. She was helpless to move from this grip and terrified of what was happening to her. While he held her upside down, dangling by her ankles, all the blood rushed to her head, causing her to be dizzy and sick. Then he forcefully, and said perverse things. Yeah, again, happily married man, just like Dominique Pelicot here in France. Love, still talks about how much he loves his wife. But did that to her, had men come over and do that to her, and said awful things to her while doing it to her, and had other men say awful things to her. In her suit, she claims that she considered unaliving herself following this assault. And we actually don't talk about this point enough, and I'm not going to go into it in this video. The Guardian did a great article on this a few years ago about how much women do this. Even if they get out, they do this. Especially if they are with homosexuals, because those men will ruin their financial life too. So even recovering from this is so hard because the lasting impact of men, whether it's an assault from your employer or totally different scenario, but still long lasting effects of being married to, dating, or whatever, a man who abuses you. Yeah. And yet we're supposed to care about men's unaliving way more than our own. She's suing for SA, battery, and gender violence under California's SA Abuse and Cover-Up Accountability Act. I did not know about this. I need to look into this because this seems very new. So he has a history of not treating women in his life all that great, although he keeps trying to convince us that he is just love. He admitted to being unfaithful to his ex-wife. She took him back, apparently. But again, he's a superstar, and she probably had no career at this point because she's raising 3 children, young children. I think they were the oldest was maybe 7 or so, and 3 children under the age of 8 or whatever. And your husband is literally never home. What are you going to do? I get it. I get why women stay. I'm not saying it turns out good for them, but I get why that happened. At first, they got back together after I wore out a pair of jeans while I was down on my knees begging her to take me back. But it didn't last. Even once he got married to Trisha, he still sucked at doing anything. So according to this, his eldest daughter says when it's Garth's turn to cook, his dinners will frequently include frozen chicken and boxed macaroni and cheese. He could not cook to save his life. Really? I bet if his life was in danger, he could cook and he would cook. He just doesn't want to. He doesn't want to, so he wants to be a little baby who can't survive without his wife. God. Y'all, I'm telling you, like they're all king baby. They're on the king baby spectrum because that's how they're raised, and they have to unlearn this stuff. And if they don't, they are little nightmares. And like the worst version is a literal predator who feels so entitled to women's body and labor and all this that they just do whatever they want, including being violent to get it. Or the not as bad version is like, I can't cook. I'm so silly and stupid. I want to run the world, but I don't know how to cook or change a diaper. And like I said before, of course, his Sandy, they think that Trisha's a great addition to the family. I wonder why. Can you imagine, like, in addition to what I already said, do you think she trusts this man with those 3 children if he, like, won't even teach himself how to cook? She probably, and this is the thing, like, a lot of moms actually, they may not like the stepmom, but they love the labor that stepmom provides, don't they? And I mean, honestly, if I was a mom and I had a king baby like this who, entitled, doesn't do anything, cheats on me, feels, whatever, I'd probably be grateful there was a woman at home for those kids to go to, because he doesn't sound like he was ever there while they were children. So probably is not the best support to those kids when they're older either. Back in the 80s and early 90s, they struggled to make ends meet. So she stuck through him. She was with him while he was building this whole thing, this new life. This is so class. As soon as men get famous, as soon as they get successful, they think they deserve better than you. So whatever, none of this surprise. This all checks out. But once he became famous, now their struggle wasn't financial. It was, his schedule and probably his ego. He'd be gone 8 to 10 weeks at a time. 2.5 months at a time. He'd come home, and then there'd be a number one parties or parties, of course, shows or CMAs or ACMs, American Music One, whatever. It was always something. Always something. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if some of that was also like affairs, because we already know that's one of the things that broke them up. She said during the documentary that we both grew apart really, really quick. I mean, that's an interesting way to say it. I'd be willing to bet that they both grew apart because one person's literally gone all the time and not creating any time or space for the other one. So after after he watched this documentary or whatever, Garth was like, I was really surprised to hear how she felt. So classic. All the men who were blindsided by their wives. She was phenomenal. I was gone so much on the road during their marriage. There were things, I guess, that she was trying to tell me that I didn't hear until this biography. Okay, I guess it was a biography, whatever. It's rare you get to hear the other side. Yeah, that's because men don't listen. And, in general, people don't care about our side. Like, blah, blah, blah. Basically, he was like, wow, I didn't know she felt this way. Although she clearly, and even says, she probably tried. Yeah. These men are always just like, she blindsided, she abandoned the marriage. And literally, she not only worked really hard to save the marriage, usually she also gave, if this doesn't happen by this time, this is going to be the consequence. And then they're like, okay. And then they change for like a week. Because the thing is that, men don't think we're going to leave. Till death do us part is for us. And sickness is in health is for us. For better or worse is for us. Those vows don't mean anything to them other than what you're promising them. They assume, most of them, the more entitled they are, that why would you ever leave? They're the prize. Why would you ever, especially him? All these women want him, and they think he loves his wife so much, and he has like all these millions of women who are just like, Garth. It would never occur to this man that she might leave, right? It never occurs to the biggest loser that a woman's gonna leave him. You think Garth thought she was like ever leave him? Probably doesn't even think Trisha's gonna leave after graping a woman. But honestly, he's probably right. I hope she does. But also, I would not be surprised if she doesn't. Her career is tied to his now. The funny thing is in the Thunder Roll, he's like not only talking about domestic abuse, but about a man who's, been where he probably shouldn't have been. Sleepless night of this man who's gone all the time. And even though it started a much needed conversation about domestic violence, well, maybe he knows a little too much about it. And when I say domestic violence, I'm not saying that he was like, beating up his wife. But, entitled men don't have to ever lay a hand on you to be abusing you. Emotionally, financially, whatever. I'm so glad she got that settlement, by the way. Or abusing another woman. Because they just love you so much, they're going to take it out on another woman. Like their makeup artist. Also, this man was sued for fraud by Lisa Sanderson at some point. Apparently, he allegedly didn't pay her salary for 20 years. The fact that it's a woman in this... that lines up. Not sure really what happened with it. Don't care. Just saying. And yet somehow he is this man because of her. And just like all narcissists, abusers, whatever, it's exactly what's playing out in this trial here in France. Every single one of those rapists on trial is literally like, I'm the victim. Oh, crocodile tear. In 1989, when his then wife discovered that he was cheating, and threatened to divorce him, he got so choked up on stage that he had to restart a song. Oh, he's so emotional for suffering from the consequences of his actions. And she gave him another chance. I bet she is so glad that she is not with him still, but God, so she's humiliated too. The father of her children was just accused of holding a woman by her ankles. And, another red flag is anytime a couple renews their vows, they always end up getting divorced. And I'm always like, whose idea is that? Tori Spelling and that Dean did it. This always happens. Renewed their vows in 96, but at the 2000 American Music Awards, things took a turn when Brooks used that part of an acceptance speech to address his wife and let the world know that it's no mystery that our future, we don't know what's going to happen. Dude, I haven't even looked into this, but did every acceptance speech somehow, insult your wife or humiliate her somehow? Because it seems like a pattern. Now, again, he alleges that he did not cheat with her. They were friends until they were both divorced. Okay. Why would you tell people that your now wife is the one you were cheating? This always happens. Usually you're not going to be like, yeah, we're fair partners first. But maybe, okay. I just found this quote, by the way. When he said that line about how when he first met Trisha Yearwood, he felt like he just met his wife, even though he had been married he was married for 13 months when he said this. 13 months! He's newly married! And he's saying this about someone he just met. And he stayed with that woman for 15 years or something? Brooks went on to explain that he didn't make a move because he was committed to his vows. Dude, I wish men would be less committed to their vows, because you're not really committed to your vows. If you're cheating with people and not actually treating her well, you know what? Break the vow. Just break the vow instead of pretending like you care about these vows. He didn't exactly paint his marriage to her in a good sight, saying you keep hacking and you work and you work and you work. And then there comes a times when you're looking at the rest, this is why the marriage is hard. I hate that saying. Life is hard. Relationships have moments that are trying, but marriage should not be hard. Because when men say marriage is hard, or when women say marriage is hard, it's because their lives are actually made harder by men. Marriage is not hard for men. When men say it's because they're not getting what they want, which is to be able to fork whoever they want and still get the benefits and the social capital and all the free labor and that they exploit from being married. I'd argue that marriage is way too easy for most men, which is why women are like, marriage is hard for you, not for him. Now, that woman that he screwed over, that producer, Lisa, in her lawsuit, she alleged that he's paranoid, angry, deceitful, and a vindictive man who will turn against those closest to him on a dime. Well, seems like Lisa was right. He literally just humiliated his entire family and caused irreparable harm with what he did. In addition to the harm, obviously, to the victim. Listen to this. She claimed that he was hired to help she was hired to help launch his acting career, because he also, like, this dude, he's all over the place. He's like, now I'm a country pop star. Now I want to be a goth guy. Now I want to be a baseball player. He wanted an acting career. That he made such extravagant demands, like turning down a role in Saving Private Ryan because he wanted to be the star. Bro, you don't even have any acting. Which person he want to be? Tom Hanks or Matt Damon? Like, if this is true, like, all of this is making a lot of sense now, y'all. Delusional psycho. All the opportunities she lined up for him, he lost all of them. So basically, she sued him for, like, trying to help his career, but she didn't do it the way he wanted, to be like the star of a movie despite no acting skill. Okay, so Brooks won this lawsuit and then said that she's the one who owes him money. And you know what? I'm not saying that people don't do that this woman couldn't have just made this up and gone after him, but given what we know about his character, and this is like a woman and like a producer going against a mega pop star, one of the most successful of all time. Not surprised that she lost. I mean, you know, when he tried to do all this weird stuff with his career, it did not go over well. The LA Times was like, Garth shows up at the wrong dance. I forget which headline this is, but one of them was like, good God, Garth goes goth. This is a man at the time who was the most successful solo artist at the time. I don't know if he still is. And he wanted to do this. And then he wanted to do this and join the Padres or whatever for their spring training. That didn't really work out. Seems like a man who wants to do a lot of stuff. Can't commit. That track. I still don't understand this whole thing. But apparently he creates this false character named Chris Gaines. He wrote a whole backstory for this guy, who was born in Australia in 1967, moved to America, but then he lost his father and suffering a debilitating addiction while also having his money stolen by greedy music people. Oh, it sounds like victim, 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 victim. And then he got in a car accident. And he had to have expensive facial surgery. And then he ends up dying by fishy circumstances. Like, y'all, I don't understand. I'm sure some of you are know more about this man than I do. What is this? What is this? So he writes this movie about his little alter ego, Chris. It was supposed to be released in the summer of 2020. And then there's going to be like an album associated with this. I don't understand any of this. He had a soul patch and hair and makeup done by an artist. Not the one he raped, by the way. So in an interview, he talked about how he developed this character. I surrounded by myself with people that knew what hip and cool was, and so I did it. I kind of lose some of my fans, you know, whatever. I mean, this is a YouTube video I got some of this from, by the way. I mean, I can see cowboy, like, men who are, like, really attached to like, toxic masculinity being like, who is this freak? The soul pat. He had this whole thing he made, like, behind the scenes or whatever on VH1, behind the music, about a fake person. They got, like, real life people to talk about this fake person that doesn't exist, Chris Gaines. And then they got, you know, like actors, and, like, look at this. Look at some of Chris Gaines' work. See, now Chris Gaines seems to be, like, revealing a lot about Garth. This is fascinating. So she talks about how Garth talked about how he developed these characters based on events in his real life. The 32 traumatic years of his life. And apparently Chris Gaines had women throwing themselves at him. He was catching 2, 3, 4 women at a time. Oh, Chris Gaines was having the threesomes that you want to have, Garth. And this wasn't a problem until he was caught dating. Like, this was all, like, made up. And this is his true love. And it's her, among others, that got him help for his schmegs addiction. And the reason he had this addiction was because his daddy didn't love him. He wasn't present. Kind of like you weren't present for your children, Garth. His father wasn't able to show love in a tangible way outside of sports, which Garth or Chris wasn't into. And this come to Jesus moment leads to Chris's breakthrough album. What? When Garth talked about Chris, wanted someone thin, beautiful, with lots of hair. Whatever. I don't even know. I don't want to talk about this man, Chris, anymore. This is all too weird for me. I love weird. Oh my God, y'all. Anyway, I would love to know more about this man. I don't know if I can take doing like a deep dive. That was already deep enough. I know more about him than I ever wanted to know. It's too much, y'all. It's too much. Again, I still firmly believe that this moment is like, wow, all these men who have too much power, too much money, or are just, who don't have those things, the broke men, the men, like, I just learned yesterday that Stephen Hawkins, like, cheated with his nurse when, in the craziest way. Oh God. There's so many stories. How can women be so committed to finding that one? I'm not saying that you won't. I'm not saying it's not possible, but we have to stop thinking we need marriage, we need men, and that just believing that they are the prize. They are not the prize. We are the prize. So much social capital and so much stuff comes from just being in our lives. They're jealous. Stop just we got to stop chasing them. We got to stop giving them endless chances. All of this is just creating these monsters that feel so, they're not monsters, they're humans, but they act like these entitled addicts that nothing is enough for them. Nothing is enough for them. They want more. They want more. They don't appreciate anything because they get too much. And then once they have power and money, or even if it's your money, once they feel a little too good about themselves and they still have all that entitlement under patriarchy, they are such a nightmare to all the women in their life. Please just protect yourself. Decenter men, decenter your brother, your dad, dating them, even if you don't date them, you still got to decenter them. Decenter the women who center men. Stop enabling them to enable these men, because women who enable men will make you center them by proxy. Literally, we got to figure out a way to cut off all this free access to us and all this stuff they get from us, because they hide behind us, they embarrass us, they take our lives, God, are we finally ready for that moment to say, collectively, it's going to take some time for some women because they're pretty new at this or just still in denial and being like, no, I got to get married. Love is Blind is on right now. The way. God, we have healing to do. We have healing to do. We have so much healing to do to cut these men off from everything they're taking from us. Then they don't deserve it. Anyway, oh God, please follow my Patreon. I've got a live coming up on Thursday with the lawyer who took down Larry Nassar. After some scheduling conflicts and a family crisis, we finally have our moment Thursday, and I can't wait to talk to her. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please tell me anything. I'm sure I missed some stuff. I'm sure I missed a lot on this, man. I really, I spent hours trying to find some of this, and then I was like, okay, it's too big. I know so little about this man that I'm going to have to spend so much time. And my little teenage heart is just another childhood memory ruined. Every movie I watch, I now hate from my childhood. And now all the music, I'm like, up. He's a rapist. He's a groomer. He's a da. Anthony Kiedis, I'm coming for you. God, because what is this? What is this? I mean, we know what this is. This happens all the time. Nothing new. But they are they have so much audacity. Look at this. What is she, 16? Oh, God. Anyway, we're having a moment, y'all. We are starting to believe these dudes are worth what we lose. So anyway, screw the king, baby. And like, comment, share, and let me know if you heard the comment song. Welcome to the comment song. Leon edition Saturday. I went to town on my bike and saw some cool stuff. They had this thing called a tableau with all the local stuff around. It had lots of food and the band and other stuff and blah, blah, blah. If you're new here, the comment song is when I sing a bunch of random crap about random stuff. This is what I ate there. Carrot, epinard, spinach, and other stuff. And they had carrot cake. Hey, carrot cake, carrot cake. Anthony loves him, carrot cake. I got him a piece and then brought it home. They had some cows and cows and cows and goats and lambs. What a weird view, right? Didn't expect that today. Anyway. The comment song. This is the stuff that I talk about on my Patreon and with videos. This lady sang a really cute song with her little band. And then they had this kind of photo op. I wanted to do it, but they didn't anyway. The comment song. Patreon. That's where you'll see about the whole day. Probably on Monday. Okay, if I lie, let me know if you heard this. Bye.